Would you believe me if I told you that a man who worked his whole life in a petrol station and then as a caretaker became a multi-millionaire, whilst a Harvard-educated investment banking executive went broke? The story of Ronald Read versus Richard FUSCONE. Ronald James Read worked as a gas station attendant and a janitor. Most people thought nothing more of him than the fact that he lived a modest life. Read saved throughout his life, lived frugally, and amassed an $8 million net worth at the time of death in 2014, aged 92. The majority of his fortune was left to a local hospital and library. Those who knew Read were shocked at how much wealth he had amassed throughout his life and wondered how he did it. So how did he do it? Ronald's rules. Frugality. Ronald Read lived below his means and was well known for his frugality. Seeing as he never earned a high salary, this is the main thing that enabled him to have a high savings rate. Investing. He invested in blue chip companies that paid generous dividends and only invested in companies that he fully understood, which helped him avoid bubbles like the dot-com bubble in 2000. Patience. What set Ronald aside more than most was probably his patience and his ability to stick to his plan. He held around 95 stocks, many of which he had held for decades, which included boring companies such as Wells Fargo, Procter & Gamble, Colgate-Palmolive, and American Express. Slowly and steadily, investing his wages, he was able to utilize the power of compounding over this long time frame to build the snowball over time. The story of Richard FUSCONE. Richard FUSCONE, on the other hand, was a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive, a high-flying banking professional who was everything Ronald Read wasn't. He borrowed heavily to expand his mansion home and spent lavishly. Then the 2008 financial crisis hit, and with high debt and illiquid assets, this left him declaring bankruptcy soon after. There is no other field where this is possible. Ronald Read would have zero chance of beating a top surgeon at performing a complicated surgery procedure or an architect at designing a modern skyscraper. So how was he able to beat a top financial professional? Simple. Ronald Read was patient, Richard FUSCONE was greedy. That's all it took to eclipse the massive education and experience gap between the two. It's always important to remember that doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave. To quote Morgan Housel, a genius who loses control of their emotions can be a financial disaster. The opposite is also true. Ordinary folks with no financial education can be wealthy if they have a handful of behavioural skills that have nothing to do with formal measures of intelligence.